Welcome to Finding Holiness, where we delve into timeless Torah wisdom, revealing the sacred in everyday moments. Join us on a journey to elevate your spirituality and discover holiness in every aspect of life. I'm your host, Rabbi David Kadosh, and together, let's embark on a path of spiritual exploration. I hope you enjoy this next episode. Okay, we are still studying Masechet Yevamot, Perek Hey, Mishna Bet. Yesterday, at the beginning, the first Mishnah of this Perek spoke about the four actions that a Yavam can affect the status of a widow, giving a get or performing chalitza, that's 1 and 2. And the marriage part of it would be the ma'amar, that's rabbinic, and the actual cohabitation, which is really called yibum. Those are the four things. So the next Mishnah, Mishnah Bet, talks about a situation where a case where the Yavam performed two different acts with the same widow. So how does that play out, and what are the ramifications that come out as a result of this? That's what the next few Mishnayot are going to be talking about till the end of the parak, and then it goes into a lot more simpler ideas. So let's begin. Ketzat, how is this so? How do we have two different acts performed by the same brother and widow? Asa ma'amar b'yevimto. If he made a ma'amar marriage with his yevama, so he created a rabbinic marriage with her, natan a get, and then gave her a get, which ended the ma'amar marriage. Tzricha hemenu chalitza. She still needs a chalitza in order to be free to marry other people. Case 2. Asa ma'amar v'chalitza. If he made a ma'amar with her, a rabbinic marriage, and then a chalitza, tzricha hemenu get. She still needs a get in order for her to release herself from the ma'amar marriage. Number 3. Asa ma'amar uba'al. If he made uba'al, he made a ma'amar and then he lives with her. Harezu kemitzvata. So that's how the yibum should be done, right? You make the ma'amar marriage and you live with her. Okay, good. Natan, this is Mishnah Gimel. Natan get ve'asa ma'amar. If first he gave a get to her, and then he made a ma'amar, rabbinic marriage, Mishnah says, Sericha get v'chalitza. She needs a second get and a chalitza. She needs a get to end the ma'amar marriage, and the chalitza to remove the biblical yibum bond. Natan get uba'al. If he gave her a get and then lived with her, tzricha get v'chalitza. She needs a get and chalitza. The Natan get vehalatz. If he gave her a get and then performed chalitza, en achar chalitza klum. The rule is, once a chalitza was given, meaning that's it. There's nothing else afterwards. There's no yibum related action that takes effect after the chalitza because it removes all the bond. Halatz. If he performed chalitza with her, ve'asa ma'amar, and then he did a ma'amar, he gave her a rabbinic marriage, natan get, or gave her a get, uba'al, or cohabited with her, that's one case, or ba'al, or he first cohabited with her, ve'asa ma'amar, and then made a ma'amar, natan get, or gave a get, ve'chalatz, or performed chalitza, en achar chalitza klum. Again, there's nothing after the chalitza. Once a chalitza is done, there is no yibum bond. Okay, so in short, after the rabbinic act of marriage, that's the ma'amar or the get, the rabbinic act of the ma'amar or the get, whether it's for marriage or for divorce, then a second act, whether biblical or rabbinic, has an effect. That's what we've learned. But after a biblical act, such as the cohabitation or the chalitza, the second act has no effect. Achat yevama, achat leyavam achad. These rules apply whether it's one yevama involved with one yavam, ve'achat shtei yevamot leyavam echad, or two widows, two yevamot involved with one yavam. Mishnah does it ketzad. How does this work? Asa ma'amar bazu u'ma'amar bazu. If he made a rabbinic marriage with this one and a rabbinic marriage with that one, two yevamot, so he made the ma'amar with both. Tzrichot shenei gitin v'chalitza. They both need two gitin and one chalitza. Each widow needs a get to end the ma'amar marriage, and one chalitza to remove the yibum bond from both of them. Ma'amar bazu veget lazu. If he made a rabbinic marriage with one of them and he gave a get to the other one, tzricha get v'chalitza. The one that had the ma'amar needs a get, and one of them needs a chalitza. Ma'amar bazu u'ba'al etzu. If he made a ma'amar with this one, but cohabited with this one, tzrichot shene gitin, they each need 2 gitin, v'chalitza and 1 chalitza. Ma'amar bazu v'chalatz lazu. If he made a ma'amar marriage with this one and did chalitza with this one, harishona tzricha get. The first one needs a get, okay, and that's it. We don't need another chalitza because it was done to the second one. Okay, get lazu veget lazu. If he gave a get to this one and a get to that one, tzrichot hemenu chalitza. They need 1 chalitza to remove him from the biblical yibum bond. Get lazu uba'al etzu. He gave a get to this one and cohabited with this one. Tzricha get v'chalitza. The second widow needs a chalitza, a get and a chalitza. So the get is to end the biblical marriage, which is through the cohabitation, and the chalitza because the whole cohabitation was flawed, and a flawed yibum does not remove the bond. Get lazu u'amar lazu. If he gave a get to this one, and he made a ma'amar marriage with that one, tzricha get v'chalitza. The one that got the ma'amar, which is the second widow, needs a get and 1 chalitza to remove the biblical bond of yibum. Get lazu v'chalatz lazu. If you gave a get to this one and did chalitza with this one, en achar chalitza klum. There's nothing after the chalitza. That's the rule. Okay, 2 more mishnayot of these very repetitive types of cases. So hang in with me over there. Yeah.
Question. So if he does ma'amar and then he gives her a get, now if she didn't go with anybody, can now remarry?
The same girl you're talking about?
Yes, the same lady.
If she did a ma'amar and give a get,
Now.
no, you still need a chalitza. That was the first case. Yeah, the biblical bond needs to be. No, she can't go with a. Yeah. Halatz vehalatz. If he performed chalitza with one yevama and chalitza with the other, or chalatz, or he performed chalitza with one yevama ve'asa ma'amar natan get ubal, and then he either made a ma'amar, gave a get, or cohabited with the other one, or ba'al ubal, or he first cohabited with one yevama and cohabited with the other one, or ba'al, or he cohabited with one ve'asa ma'amar natan get vechalatz, and he made a ma'amar or gave a get or performed chalitza with the other one, en acha chalitza klum. There is nothing after the chalitza. Chalitza removes all the bonds. Ben yavam echad dishtei yevamot. The laws apply whether these 2 acts were done with 1 yavam to 2 yevamot. Ben shnei yavamin levama achat, or whether it was done by 2 yavams to 1 yevama. The last Mishnah in this confusing order of cases. Mishnah Vav in Perek Hey. Halatz, if a yavam did chalitza with 1 yevama, ve'asa ma'amar natan get ubal, and then either made a ma'amar, a rabbinic marriage, or gave her a get, or cohabited with her. Okay? Then, ve'asa, or ba'al, or first he cohabited with her, ve'asa ma'amar ve'natan get ve'chalat, and then either made a ma'amar, gave her a get, or performed chalitza, en achar chalitza klum. There's nothing after the chalitza. Chalitza removes the yibum bond. Ben batehila, ben be'emsa. This applies whether he performed the chalitza in the beginning, before any other act, or in the middle, like he gave the get and then the chalitza and then mamar, ben basof, or at the end. So you might think it's only if he did the chalitza at the end that it removes. No, as long as he did a chalitza somewhere, it removes the bond. However, ve'abe'ila, but with respect to cohabitation, bisman shehi batechila, when it's performed at the beginning, before all the other acts, en acharei klum. Nothing takes effect after that. It completely erases the yibum bond. Good. Ba'emsa or basof, but if it's performed in the middle or at the end, yesh acharei klum, then there is something after it. Other things are able to take effect. Rabbi Nehemiah says, echad be'ila ve'echad chalitza, ben batechila, ben be'emsa, ben basof, and acharei klum. Rabbi Nehemiah argues and he says it makes no difference whether it was in the beginning, middle, or the end. With regards to a cohabitation or halitza, there's nothing after it. They were not strict with regarding to a flawed cohabitation, and therefore it releases the Yibum bond just like the Chalitza does. Okay, that concludes Perek Hey. Perek Vav. Haba al Yevimto, someone who cohabits with his Yebama, ben beshogeg, whether mistakenly, for example, he thought it was a different woman, ben bemezid, or deliberately, meaning he knew he was going to be with the Yevama, but he wasn't doing it for the sake of Yibum, or for the mitzvah of Yibum. Ben be'ones, ben berason, whether he was forced to do it or he willingly did it. Afilu hu shogeg vehi mezida, even if he was mistaken and she was deliberate, or hu mezid vehi shogeget, or he was deliberate and she was mistaken. Hu anus vehi lo anusa, or he was forced and she was not. Hu hi anusa vehu lo anus, or she was forced and he was not. Echad me'areh, whether he began the act of cohabitation even though he didn't complete it. Vechad gomer, or whether he completed the act. Kana, in all of these cases, he acquired the Yevama as his wife, and he fulfilled the mitzvah of Yibum. Velo halak ben biyah lebiyah, and the Torah does not distinguish between natural cohabitation or unnatural cohabitation. So even if he lived with her and had relations in an unnatural manner, it's still considered that he fulfilled the mitzvah of Yibum. Similarly, Mishnah Bet, v'chen haba. Similar, if someone cohabits in all of these ways, which was mistaken, deliberately, partial, forced, alachat mikol arayot shebatorah, with any of the arayot that are written in the Torah, listed in Sefer Vayikra, opsulot, or any of the disqualified women, kegon, for example, almana lekohen gadol, a widow who is forbidden to a kohen gadol, gerusha v'chalutza lekohen ediot, a divorcee or a halutza who is forbidden to a kohen, mamzeret to netina leIsrael, or a mamzeret or netina who's forbidden to a regular Jew, or bat Yisrael lemamzer natin, or a regular Jewish girl who is forbidden to a mamzer or a natin. Pesalah, in all of these cases, he disqualifies her from the keuna. Velo chalak ben biyah lebiyah, and again, there's no difference whether it was a natural cohabitation or an unnatural cohabitation. Almana lekohen gadol, if a widow marries a kohen gadol, which is not allowed, gerusha v'chalutza lekohen ediot, or a divorced woman or a chalutza who marries an ordinary kohen, mina erusin lo yocheluk bateruma. From the time of erusin, which is the first stage of marriage, these women can no longer eat teruma. That's the rule. Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Shimon machshirin. However, Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Shimon still consider them eligible for teruma as long as they didn't perform any act of cohabitation. So, because erusin, according to them, is not enough to disqualify the kohen's daughter from eating teruma. However, all agree with regarding to the following case: nitarmelu o nitgarshu. If these women were then widowed or divorced from their kohen husbands, then it depends. Mina nisuin pesulot. If they were widowed or divorced from the state of nisuin, which is a complete marriage, then they remain disqualified from eating teruma, even though they're no longer married to these forbidden men. However, mina irusin keshirot. But if they're widowed or divorced from the state of irusin while they were just engaged, then they're once again able and allowed to eat teruma. Kohen gadol lo yisa almana. A kohen gadol is not allowed to marry a widow. Ben almana mina erusin, ben almana mina nisuin. Whether she's a widow from the erusin stage or a widow from the complete stage of nisuin. Velo yisa et habogeret. He may not also marry a bogeret, even if this bogeret never cohabited with a man. A bogeret is someone who is in a stage of 12 years and 6 months. He has to wait till she becomes fully developed. Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Shimon machshirin bebogeret. Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Shimon hold that she is allowed to marry a bogeret. Lo yisat mukat etz. The Kohen Gadol is not allowed to marry a woman who was struck by a piece of wood in a way that destroys her signs of virginity. The whole idea is that he must marry a virgin. And a mukat etz is someone who may have had an injury, and as a result, she cannot prove her betulin that she is a virgin. Eraset ha'almana, if an ordinary kohen got engaged to a widow, Venitmana liot kohen gadol, which is allowed. So if he ordinary kohen got engaged to a widow, which is allowed, venitmana liot kohen gadol, and now he was appointed to be kohen gadol, okay, but he didn't complete the marriage yet. So can he complete the marriage? Because a kohen gadol is not allowed to be with a almana. The Mishnah writes, ichnos, he is allowed to marry her fully, because the first stage of erusin was done while she was still permitted to him. In fact, there's a story here in the Mishnah that actually supports this. Umaaseh bi Yoshua ben Gamla. It once happened with Rabbi Yoshua ben Gamla, shekideshet Marta bat Baitus, who got engaged to a widow named Marta, the daughter of Baitus, while Rabbi Yoshua ben Gamla was an ordinary Kohen. Uminahu hamelech liot Kohen Gadol, and the king appointed him to be Kohen Gadol, uchnasa, and he married her fully. Shomenet Yavam shenafla lifnei Kohen Ediot. If there was a woman who was waiting for Yibum, fell to her dead husband's brother while he was an ordinary Kohen. Venitmana liot Kohen Gadol, and then the brother was appointed to be Kohen Gadol. Af al pi she'asa ba ma'amar, even if he already did a ma'amar with her, a rabbinic marriage before he became Kohen Gadol, hareze lo ichnos. He may not marry her in Yibum once he's appointed Kohen Gadol. He has to give her a get to release her from the Ma'amar and then perform the Chalitza. Kohen Gadol shemet achiv. If a Kohen Gadol whose brother died, so now the widow falls to him to perform Yibum, choletz v'lo meyabem. The Kohen Gadol performs Chalitza but not Yibum because he's not allowed to marry a widow. And we'll stop here and continue tomorrow.